So this entire road is not allowed to be occupied, even by media.
Corner. I can talk to you there.
Sure, yeah, I'll meet you over there. Keean Bexte for Rebel News outside of the Premier's house in British Columbia, in Victoria, BC, to be specific. This is the scene where a dramatic event this morning unfolded. The term biting the hand that feeds you, or reaping what you sow, comes to mind. Premier John Horgan, the Socialist NDP Premier of this province, has been giving concession after concession to the radical protesters that have gridlocked Canada. From Ontario to BC, even the federal government and the RCMP have been capitulating with these radical activists who are now being spurred on by none other than Greta Thunberg. You remember her, the 17-year-old climate change crusader from Stockholm, Sweden. Well, she joined the fold here in Victoria, British Columbia, when her Extinction Rebellion friends tried to arrest Premier Horgan this morning. They lied across the driveway and handcuffed themselves to a metal pole. From what we understand, at least 3 of them ended up being arrested, and there's multiple charges that the police could throw at them. First off, the police could charge them under Section 51 of the Canadian Criminal Code, which says you can't intimidate officers of Parliament, which the Premier would likely be considered one. There's currently an exclusion zone here, and we want to do our very best to make sure that John Horgan's security and safety isn't compromised by publishing this. We don't want to show where he lives, so all household numbers are going to be blurred out, but we wanted to come here to see exactly what the scene was. And it turns out the police are being more strict with reporters than they are with these radical climate change activists. Now, they said that I couldn't come any closer than this, but I pushed a little bit and asked why that was. Why couldn't the media come any closer? This is a free country. I don't want to get anywhere close to the Premier's house. We want to make sure that he is safe and there's no threat to him or his family. But I wanted to chat with neighbors to see if they had any side of the story that the mainstream media hadn't published yet. So I pressed a little bit harder. Maybe that person getting in their car right now, could I go as far as that?
Once they're on the roadway.
Sorry?
Once they're on the roadway, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, that actually worked, very surprisingly. It doesn't usually work out like this, but I was happy that I was able to go door to door. So I went to the house that was directly across from Premier Horgan, and she actually sent me a few Snapchats that she recorded earlier this morning. Watch this. Now, this Extinction Rebellion stunt had originally planned to arrest Premier Horgan. He wasn't actually on the premises when they started laying in front of his driveway, according to the lady across the street. He wasn't actually there, but he came back home to yell at the protesters. Now, I find this extremely ironic that the socialist premier, the most left-wing politician in this country, arguably, still isn't enough to satisfy these radical protesters who are now being egged on by the likes of Greta Thunberg. This stunt had originally hoped to arrest an elected official. Now, I need to make this very clear. Greta Thunberg has been egging on Extinction Rebellion. She's been egging on these pipeline blockaders and these railway blockaders. It's gotten to the point where Greta Thunberg and her following of over 4 million people have created a situation in Canada where heads of government are under threat of arrest from random, violent, uninformed, and dangerous activists. This is where the climate change movement is today, co-opting the plight of Indigenous people. This is climate activism in 2020, and it is only going to get worse. John Horgan's budget will be tabled today at the legislature. I'm on my way there, where there's 2 protests that are being staged outside of the legislature, and you can stay up to date with that as it happens at The Real Keean on Twitter. For Rebel News in Victoria, British Columbia, I'm Keean Bexte. Thanks for watching our coverage here at Rebel News. Be sure to like and subscribe to us here on YouTube. But also, if you want to go on a cruise with me and Ezra Levant and a few other rebels, Sheila Gunn Reid, David Menzies, all the interesting folks that you see here, be sure to go to rebelnewscruise.com. There you can get your tickets to join us on a trip to Alaska in early July.